Alright, so what's going up, guys? So we are in season here. I apologize, I have not been uploading a lot of content recently. I recently switched to an installation position due to the need. And so as you can see right here, I am just opening up panels because I'm trying to locate the zoning board and where it's located, or it was installed inside of this area. And so I end up finding the zoning board right underneath the blower motor compartment. And as you would assume, there is probably a mix of humidity, moisture, obviously, and whatever stuff, debris gets pulled through the coils. Long story short, all that was on the zoning board, and it was getting power, but no signal was being sent. So long story short, we just ended up changing it out, but I was not able to do that until the next day, I believe, or maybe the same day. I'm really not sure. If I remember correctly, I probably came back the next day. I don't know what I did. If this was like a weekend or this was like the end of the day kind of thing. But I'm just doing my checks. I'm checking the call for cooling, Y to common, RDC for power. I'm just making sure that and confirming what I'm seeing and what I'm looking at is this a bad board or not. I can, what I do for the meantime, I believe, if I do remember correctly, I end up just jumping it out, end up putting a thermostat in the return and trying to make it work. Here I'm just conversing with the homeowner, letting him know his options, letting him know what's going on. And so, for the most part, you just want to be kind of upfront with the homeowner, let him know. And, you know, depending on your experience, you can, you know, figure it out. Do something temporary, not permanent, to just get it running, because we can verify, we know that the unit is running, the unit does work. It's just the communication side of it is not. And why is that? Because of where it's located, where it was put in. So that's a good tip, that's a good way to look at it. Right here I'm just verifying with my management what the situation is, what we got going on. And so what we end up putting in is a thermostat for the meantime, because I've done it before. It does work very well on commercial package units. This is a light commercial. It's probably like a 4-ton, 5-ton maybe. I don't really know because it was a while back ago, but definitely, we're just gonna rip it out. I should have worn gloves here because I was touching a lot of things with a very bacteria filled board, and you can see just more and more of it as I take it out. Shout out to Yerba Mate. It's pretty good. You guys should try it. Anyways, I also have a Southwire multimeter. I don't use that anymore. I went back to my UEI. It's pretty good. When I was doing service calls, I just tried to be more efficient, having less things on me. But as we all know, sometimes you need to carry just a little bit more, and then you have a little bit more. And you have bags, but you don't need everything in the bag, so I'm just doing what I can here. So going back and forth between tools and everything, and here I'm talking with the homeowner. He's just giving me some wipes, giving me some things. I already went ahead and I decided to throw a thermostat in here, and that's what we're gonna do. Definitely. This is awesome. Shout out to the homeowner because he was cool enough to, let me come inside and let me chill with them. Got the talking, build up that rapport to customers, and definitely that's what it's about. Being a good person, doing right, and if that's not how you do things, that's alright, man. That's just me. Also, I really do recommend, I don't know what it was, but when I hit 30, my knees started to feel it a lot. I recommend a knee pad. I didn't really understand it until I got into my 30s. I'm barely 30 now still. But damn, man, it is rough. It is very, very rough. Alright guys, so we just grab a thermostat. This is me installing the thermostat in the supply side actually. I should have put it in the return, but I didn't want to pass it through. I thought I could make it work, but I didn't. I had to come back probably once or twice. Probably once the same day, and then again the next day to follow up with the repair. So right here I'm just splicing my wires, cutting open my thermostat wire to connect to this thermostat. It actually will work a lot better if you put it in the return. Again, this is a temporary repair. This is not a permanent repair. I do not recommend this for a permanent solution. You're better off just wiring in a thermostat. And I believe that was the situation here. The homeowner did not want a wired thermostat. He wanted a wireless thermostat. And it's kind of funny because the homeowner, they're really heavy on security and not having any personal information out there, but going with the wireless thermostat. And so I don't understand that, but here we go with the wired thermostat. I had to drop this in the 50s to keep it nice and cool for them, just to keep it running. But, again, like I said, if you're going to do this, you should do it in the return, because on the supply side, with that 40-degree coil, you are very much well likely to reach your set point a lot faster. And so that was probably my mistake. I should have actually dropped it down even lower. I didn't think it was going to happen, but it did. So here you just see me messing with some thermostat wire, putting back the panel here on the return side, buttoning it up. Shout out to Milwaukee drilled. I still have that to this day. I don't have my bucket hat. I'm not rocking with that bucket hat anymore. As you can tell from the shadows, I'm not rocking with the Keens anymore. Boots, I love Keen, but those boots wore out already on me, so I got some new pairs, 2 new pairs. Alright. Still got the same phone. Alright. Anyone have any personal recommendations on a good setup for like a phone protective thing? I carry my phone in my pocket a lot. Sometimes I have to get into like tight spaces. I have tools around me. I've cracked my phone screen a bunch of times. So any recommendations out there for, a protective case for a phone, an iPhone, preferably? Anyways, back to action. Here's the thermostat. So basically we just called it a day for right now. Confirmed with my office, my management, that this is what we can do for right now, because again it started to get hot. I don't remember what time of the month this was, but it's definitely when it started to be like June, maybe early June, maybe May. I'm not sure, but it started to get hot. It was pretty hot up here. Not enough for me to need an umbrella or anything like that. So over here, I'm just talking with the homeowner, letting him know what's going on. For some reason, homeowners just like looking at what you're doing. And that's because you're working on their stuff. Would I do that? I don't know. I'd be suspicious. But here I'm just checking the drain line, making sure are there any other issues that may happen to this unit. I'm not sure. Just talking to the homeowner, letting him know what's going on, what I see, what I recommend. In this case, what I'm doing, what I'm going to do for him to get him cooling for right now, if he's okay with that. And I'm pretty sure this was like a later call in the evening. Probably the supply house was closed already. I believe I was on call around this time. And so, yep. Definitely, you are going to want to. You're going to definitely want to put the supply thermostat, that thermostat in the return. So anyways, here I'm just verifying that it's going to work, it's going to turn on. It does turn on, satisfies really well. Too quickly, I mean. And yep. Thanks for watching, guys. As you can see, I did end up having to come back here later. I was like, man, dang it. You see that 69, 50. Yep. That's all I'm doing. I actually should have dropped that down to like the 40s. But, you know, between wanting to run his system all night or not, you can only make it work so much. Knowing that you're going to make a repair the following day, it's hard to get exactly dialed in for a day. And to my surprise, you know, they did have a previously wired thermostat hooked up. And so here I'm just like, wow, I could have just connected the thermostat wiring, but I didn't because they didn't want it. So you kind of have to just deal with what the homeowner wants, what they decide, what they want to do, because that's really what you're there for as a service provider. Yep.
Yeah, right now we're just rating the AC comes out cool also, but we're getting this right now. Okay, no, I actually use a you. Oh wow. Beautiful. Okay, sounds good. I'll show you how I'm using it. Not on that. But
so here I just reconfirm with my management, hey, this is what we're doing, this is what's going on. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. We'll make sure it turns on. We'll make sure that it's working, communicating at the unit, and we'll call it a day. And that's what we did. So, any thoughts on what I should do in this instance? You know, what else could I have recommended? What else could I have suggested? It's kind of hard to think about that now that I'm just doing installations for the meantime. Not that I didn't mind doing service work, they just asked me if I was okay with it. So, and it kind of feels great. I'm not gonna lie, feels good. And there's been days where it's been super hot in the attic, and days that it feels insufferable. But we're rolling, we're learning, doing our thing to try to get better at the trade, learning all kinds of tricks from the people that you work with. And here I hope you guys can appreciate the content, just point of views, honestly. if you ever wanted to be interested in getting into the trade, you know, there's a lot you could do. There's a lot of different routes. This is mainly residential and light commercial. There's also commercial, industrial, whatever floats your boat. Whatever you decide you can handle, you know, wherever you decide you can make it work. A lot of driving, a lot of hours in the field, but all for your benefit, for sure. All for our benefit, all for the benefit of people who need our help, who need our service. So don't be afraid to get out there, get your hands dirty, or you know what? Don't be afraid to be a person who can help others. Anyways, I don't mean to go on a rant, but you know, it's a service, so you can help people in a lot of different ways in the trade. You don't have to just be a service technician. You can do a lot of other things. You can sell, you can be an advisor, you could be a supervisor, you could be an owner, you could be a manager, you could be a lot of different things. You could do a lot of things anywhere. It just really is up to what you want to do. Anyways, I apologize for the rant. Thank you guys for watching. Appreciate you guys taking the time. If you stuck to the end of this video and watched it, I appreciate it a lot. Thank you very much.